Section 27. Mahamate again asked the Buddha, "May the Bhagavat please explain to us how all things are empty, non-arising, non-dual, and devoid of self-existence, so that once I and the other bodhisattvas understand that they are empty, non-arising, non-dual, and devoid of self-existence, we will be free of projections of existence and non-existence, and we will quickly realize unexcelled complete enlightenment." The Buddha told Mahamate, "Listen closely and consider this well. I will now explain this for you." Mahamate answered, "Wonderful Bhagavan, may we be so instructed." The Buddha began, "As for emptiness, Mahamate, emptiness belongs to an imagined reality." "Mahamate, it is to those who are attached to an imagined reality that I speak of emptiness, non-arising, non-duality, and the absence of self-existence." "Mahamate, briefly, there are 7 kinds of emptiness. The emptiness of characteristics, the emptiness of self-existence, the emptiness of phenomena, the emptiness of non-phenomena, the emptiness of ineffability, the great emptiness of the ultimate truth of Buddha knowledge, and the emptiness of mutual exclusion." What is meant by the emptiness of characteristics? The emptiness of characteristics refers to the emptiness of the individual or shared characteristics of whatever exists. Because the observable distinctions of contrast and combination are non-existent, neither individual nor shared characteristics arise. And because the existence of this, that, or both together does not exist, characteristics do not persist. Thus, I say that the characteristics of whatever exists are empty. This is what is meant by the emptiness of characteristics. What is meant by the emptiness of self-existence? This refers to the non-arising of something's own existence. This is what is meant by the emptiness of something's self-existence. Thus, I speak of the emptiness of self-existence. What is meant by the emptiness of phenomena? This refers to the lack of a self or anything that belongs to a self in the skandhas, which arise due to the conjunction of causes and the functioning of karma. This is what is meant by the emptiness of phenomena. Mahamate, since phenomena are empty, it turns out dependent reality is non-existent. This is what is meant by the emptiness of non-phenomena. What is meant by the emptiness of the ineffability of things? This means that because imagined reality is devoid of words, everything is ineffable. This is what is meant by the emptiness of the ineffability of things. What is meant by the great emptiness of the ultimate truth of Buddha knowledge? This refers to the emptiness of the habit energy of all erroneous views upon attaining the personal realization of Buddha knowledge. This is what is meant by the great emptiness of the ultimate truth of Buddha knowledge. What is meant by the emptiness of mutual exclusion? This refers to the emptiness of this not applying to that. This is what is meant by the emptiness of mutual exclusion. For example, Mahamate, if there are no elephants or horses, oxen or sheep in Mrigamarati Vihara, but not no monks, and we say it is empty, the Vihara itself isn't empty, and the monks themselves are not empty, and it is not that elephants and horses are not present elsewhere. This refers to the individual characteristics of things, whereby one is not present in another. This is what is meant by the emptiness of mutual exclusion. Among these 7 kinds of emptiness, the emptiness of mutual exclusion is the crudest kind of emptiness, and should be avoided. Mahamate, things do not give rise to themselves. This does not mean that they do not arise, unless one is in samadhi. This is what is meant by non-arising. The absence of self-existence is what is meant by non-arising. What lacks self-existence is momentary and in continuous flux, and manifests different states of existence, but without possessing any existence of its own. Thus, whatever exists is devoid of self-existence. What does non-dual mean? This refers to everything being cloudy or sunny, long or short, bright or dark. Mahamate, everything is non-dual. Samsara isn't present in nirvana, and nirvana isn't present in samsara. This is because their existence is due to their different characteristics. This is what is meant by non-dual. And as with nirvana and samsara, this is true of everything else. Therefore, you should cultivate what is empty, non-arising, non-dual, and without self-existence. The Buddha then repeated the meaning of this in verse.
I always teach emptiness to transcend eternity and annihilation. Samsara is like an illusion or dream, but karma is relentless. Space and nirvana, and two kinds of cessation. Fools create projections, the wise avoid what is or isn't.
The Bhagavan then told Mahamate, the teaching of emptiness, non-arising, non-duality, and the absence of self-existence pervades all the sutras spoken by the Buddhas. Every sutra teaches these truths. But because every sutra responds to the longings of beings, they differ as to how they express these truths, which are not really in the words. Just as the sight of a mirage confuses a herd of deer, whereby the deer imagine the appearance of water where there is no water, likewise the teachings of the sutras are meant to gladden people's hearts. But Buddha knowledge is not to be found in the words. Therefore, trust the meaning and don't cling to the words.